Good morning and welcome to the Truth Corner. Today's session is Don't Be Ashamed of Your Story. So guys, this Truth Corner, this session is going to get a little deep. I'm going to share some things that I've never shared with anyone before. And due to legal reasons, I'm not going to mention names per se, but those who know me and who know of me know who they are. So let's start from the beginning. From the very beginning, when I met my husband, it was at a church picnic, and he was actually dating at the time my god sister. My god sister introduced me to him as her boyfriend, and I got to know him as that. At the time, we were with a crew. It was like about 10 of us, 5 boys, 5 girls, and we're all in this little crew, and we hung out all the time. Later on, my god sister's boyfriend started to work with me at Starbucks. At Starbucks, that's when we began to get really close because we were working together and then we were going to the same church. As time went on, my god sister and her boyfriend broke up, and then I expressed to my god sister's boyfriend that I liked him and I would have to stop talking to him because it would just be wrong of me to date my god sister's boyfriend. I mean, that's just girl code and family code because I considered us family at the time, but because I wanted to date him so bad, I kind of X'd her out as my family. So at that time, we began to date secretly, and then we became very public. After we became public, my god sister went through so much. She was very hurt and devastated. She really loved her boyfriend. I'm sure she thought they were going to get married. They were together for so long, and I just didn't care. I loved him. We were together. I was grown. We weren't really family. We weren't really sisters, so she needed to just cut it out. It's not a big deal. That was my approach at the time. It was a lot of drama with the church because all 3 of us went to the same church, so we were bringing all the drama, the love triangle into the church, and so people started to pick sides. You had my side, you had her side, and you had his side, and I was just in a bunch of mess. And I remember years ago, my ex-mother-in-law told me, how you get them is how you lose them. Not thinking that, okay, whatever, we're gonna be together forever. Long story short, we got married, we got divorced, we got remarried, and we got divorced. And we're divorced as of today. In the middle of that, it was a lot of backbiting, lying, deceit. It was just a lot of drama between myself, my ex-husband, and my god sister at the time. And like my ex-mother-in-law said, how you get them, how you lose them. So I believe that we started dating after my god sister and him broke up, but come to find out, it was like he was messing with both of us at the same time and we didn't know. After that, of course, I broke the girl code and family code with dating somebody's ex-boyfriend, whatnot, and sneaking around, that we just hated each other. I mean, we hated each other. I couldn't stand her, she couldn't stand me. And we were not ashamed to tell people that. I couldn't stand her, she couldn't stand me. It was what it was. But I thank God for it because as of today, her and I get along. I'm not gonna say we're best friends and we're close like we used to be, but it's a different kind of relationship, and I can appreciate the kind of relationship it is. We actually get along. I actually hugged her yesterday. We were crying. Well, we was at church, and God is so good. We were in church crying and stuff, but I got to hug her yesterday, and she's married as of today. Her and her husband are beautiful, and we talk. Her and I talk. We can laugh about stuff. We joke about things, but we were not definitely that. We didn't have that relationship before. So I wanted to tell you guys this because a lot of times we play the victim, but we end up victimizing ourselves because of our wrong decisions that we make. I felt like, yes, I made a wrong decision, but at the same time, the slander and the things that I was dealing with was unnecessary because I was still young. And I feel like young people, we do stupid stuff. Give us room to do stupid things, give us room to grow, right? But I was still young, trying to figure out my life, trying to figure out my love, my own love, and my own insecurities and my worth, that I just was doing anything and everything. So I want to tell you guys that when it comes to one thing I want to point out, like my ex-mother-in-law said, how you get them is how you lose them. I definitely lost my ex-husband because of infidelity, and I gave it up. I could have stayed with him. I believe he's the type of man that if I would have stayed with him, he would have stayed with me, but he would continue to cheat. And I was not willing to deal with a husband who was going to continue to cheat. That's just, that's where I draw the line. That's my deal breaker, okay? So because I got him that way, that's how I lost him. You reap what you sow. So I sowed cheating, I reaped cheating, and that's why it didn't work out, okay? Secondly, I want people to understand that stop playing the victim all the time. A lot of times we play the victim and forget that we were the ones who put ourselves in those positions. So at one point I was like, you know what? This is what I get. I did this. I caused this drama. I caused all this heartache and heartache for people. It's my time to reap it. So at one point I just stopped playing the victim. And I think that's how I was able to get through it and even talk about it today, because I don't play the victim. It is what it is. I did it, I done it, and I'm through it. I got through it. Another thing is, I believe that it had to happen for a reason, because my son is here. My son could have been birthed out of wedlock, but he wasn't. We were married, and 3 years later, we had my son. But I believe my son has a purpose to be on this earth. So part of it was like me staying firm on my decision of being wrong, because I wanted to be married and I wanted him. He was so cute, he was so funny, he was so loving, and this is what it was. So it is what it is. But I feel like the Lord gives life, and if it wasn't meant for my son to be here, he wouldn't be here. So I thank God for my son, and I believe everything happens for a reason. My son was meant to be here because he's gonna make his mark on this earth too. Another thing is, I want to teach you guys that not being ashamed of even the wrong that you did. Yes, I was completely wrong, but I'm not ashamed to talk about it today. And I feel like it can help somebody, especially when I talked about not playing the victim, because you're victimizing yourself by putting yourself in just wrong predicaments and wrong situations. You know you're wrong, just stop. And don't be so desperate to want to be with somebody else's man. Because how you get them is how you're gonna lose them. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's one of the reasons why my marriage the second time didn't work, because I was just a mess. And I thank God for second chances, and that's why this time around I'm gonna make sure I do it right. I'm gonna make sure that I stay prayerful. I'm gonna make sure that I am with the man that God has for me. And it's not by me breaking up another relationship. Now, don't get me wrong, they were married. They were not married, but they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and they loved each other. And I feel like I messed that up. And this is not me to confess. This is just me telling my story and telling people, like, the girls on one side who done wrong, but also I was the girl who got done wrong too by her ex-husband as well. And so I just want to encourage any woman out there, when you're doing wrong to somebody, especially when it comes to relationships and you're breaking up families and you're sleeping with other women's husbands, or even if they're not married but you know they're in a relationship, just step back. It's not worth it, because you're going to go through a lot, and it's not going to be good for you, because like the role says, it's karma. You're going to get karma. You're going to reap what you sow, and you want to make sure that you reap blessings and not negativity in your life. So that's one thing I definitely want to make sure that my viewers understand. Like, this story has more to do with me just being divorced. I was a mess. I ruined someone's relationship because I had to have them. And because of that, my relationship with the person didn't work out, and it birthed all of this out of me. And I love the people that I hurt. I'm not playing the victim. My god sister, as of today, like I said, I'm glad we're at a place where we can talk. We've confessed our heartache to each other, our disappointment to each other, and we moved on. And then as far as my ex-husband, we're at a place where I've confessed to him of the hurt and pain that he caused me, he caused her, he caused my son, and we moved on from it. And that's why today I can talk about it and stand firm in it and not be ashamed of it. Because guess what? My shame is going to help somebody else's, and it's going to burst something out of it. So if you can take anything away from this session today, is don't be ashamed of your story. It happened for a reason. Whether you were a person who had an abortion, a person who was a thief, a person who went to jail, a person who was a drug addict, a person who was in domestic violence, or even the person who was being the abuser. Like, as long as you're getting help and you're doing things to better yourself and not to harm people. Now, the reason why I believe God has blessed me, because I don't like to see anyone hurting. So now my heart is just for people in general. I don't like to see people hurting. So I'm always the other person's friend, the underdog's friend, because I don't like to see people hurting. And I have a heart for that, for hurt. So at the end of the day, I want you guys to remember, don't be ashamed of your story, but also do not play the victim and be victimized by yourself by making wrong decisions. It's not worth it. I want you guys to just have an awesome day, and remember what I said. Think it, do it,